I'm not reviewing God of War today. I just wanted to show one of the most well-known examples of a game based on Greek mythology. It's also been the basis of many other games throughout the years. It's no surprise that Greek mythology is a perfect fit for video games. The stories are filled with brave heroes, who the player can play as, magical items, which make great power-ups, and fierce monsters who make great end bosses. Best of all, Zeus doesn't charge a licensing fee. Namco made an interesting move by creating a shoot-em-up based on Greek mythology. So let's see how that turned out. Phelios began as a Japanese arcade game, and then came to the Genesis in 1990. The plot in a nutshell is that Artemis has been captured by Typhon, a giant monster, and you, Apollo, must hop aboard Pegasus and rescue her. To find her, you must shoot your way through 7 vertically scrolling stages. Getting hit by enemies will deplete your life gauge, represented by Pez candy on the right side of the screen. Hitting certain obstacles, like walls, will result in instant death. You shoot tiny little weak fireballs out of your sword. Like other games such as Gradius, you can pick up options that allow you to triple your shooting power. An alternative to this standard shot is to hold the button down for a second and release a powerful charge shot. The heart of the strategy in the game is deciding whether to use the standard shot or to use these charge shots, which take longer to fire but do a lot more damage. Since there's no auto-fire, a controller with turbo is tailor-made for Phelios. All 3 main buttons, A, B, and C, shoot, so you can use turbo for one button and use another one to hold down for the charge shots. This makes it less of an endurance match for your fingers. So is Phelios any good? Definitely yes. Let's start with the looks of the game. The game has some very smooth flowing graphics. There's no slowdown or frame rate issues. The colors used in most of the stages are vibrant and bright, making enemies easy to distinguish from the background. The game does attempt a little bit more than it can handle in a couple of spots. One part would be the scaling effect seen here, where he's flying down into the dungeon. It looks horrendous. The sound effects of the game are okay, mostly just standard stuff. They probably should have dropped the voice work altogether from the game. It's hard to hear the voices since it gets overtaken by the music. Speaking of music, it is fantastic. Let me shut up for a second and let you listen. It sets the mood for each stage perfectly. It's choreographed as well to match what's happening on the screen. Listening to the score, it's no wonder why 16-bit music is so cherished. The boss battles in Phelios were my favorite part. Most shoot-em-ups have mechanical bosses made out of metal, so it's nice to battle some monsters for a change. I like how you have to decide whether to use regular shots or charge shots. When it comes to challenge, I'd say Phelios hits it right in the sweet spot. Not too hard and not too light. Death will happen often, but the game gives you a large number of extra lives. Watch how many extra lives I rack up just by battling the last guy. What about the story? Even though it's based on mythology, it's not a complex one. It does give you a little update after each stage, but these turn out to be more funny than they were meant to be. At this point in the review, I should mention that in Greek mythology, Apollo and Artemis are not only husband and wife, but also brother and sister. So things can get a little uncomfortable sometimes. It's that same feeling you get when you watch the kissing scene in the original Star Wars. In all fairness, many Greek gods were married to their siblings, including Zeus. None of this has any effect on my opinion of Phelios. I just thought I should mention it. If I had to state the worst thing about Phelios, I'd say the speed of the game is much slower than shoot-em-ups from the same time period. Even though it's about a 50-minute game, some of the stages feel like they're never going to end. So overall, nothing in Phelios screams epic, but it's an above average shoot-em-up that deserves some playing time if you have a Genesis. The rating for the game is coming up, and I want to thank you for watching Gaming the Systems.